6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the slightly earlier than normal Prem Panel Show. I've got the boys with me as always, and we've got a special guest as well. I know you recognize him from Friday Night Live and a few of our special shows. Conroy's in the house. What's going on, bro?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it. Some great games last night, and I don't usually watch that many midweek games, but I've got to be honest, outstanding. So looking forward to talking about them.
Good. And obviously Conroy will be representing Liverpool today because the boys aren't here with the early show. Matt and Callum will not be with us. And I've got my usual bad boys, George, Lewis and KG. What's going on, bros?
Yeah, all good.
Right.
All good, man.
All good.
Bless. So now, let's just jump straight into it. Why waste time? Because I watched an absolutely exhilarating game of football yesterday. It was end-to-end. It was entertainment. And even though it might not have been good for the people who support the clubs, that's what football's meant to be like, in my opinion. Now, when I started to watch football, that was what football was about. Forget all the tactics of like, you make sure you do this and do that. It's, can you play ball? All right, let's play ball. Like, that is what football's meant to be like for me. Do you know what I mean? Skills, tackles, madness, red cards. It was amazing. So, do you know what, KG? Seems your team was involved in that thrilling 3-3 game against Aston Villa yesterday. I'll let you start with it, bro.
Yeah, listen, it's everything that you just said, wasn't it? I mean, there was clearly no tactics going on in that game. It was just you go, we go, you go, we go, all game long. I mean, Villa were really good in the first half. I can't take anything away from them. Coutinho, the scary thing about Coutinho is you can see he's only like 80% fit. That's the worrying thing as well. He's only just warming up.
100%.
And the guy that I was talking about on the preview that I had on the channel, on my channel with the Villa guy, Jacob Ramsey, boy, his finishing it for such a young guy is already at full composure. Like, he's taking chances that you would expect a seasoned striker to take. He's going to be unreal. So people are going to have to watch out for this guy because I'm sure all the big clubs are going to be sniffing around him. But listen, we went 1-0 up out, and it was against the play because they had the first 10 minutes. But then out of nowhere, Dan James pops up in his new striking role and slots one in. And it was a really good finish, as was his second goal to get us back into the game at 3-2. But the goals that they scored, I mean, we were just wide open in midfield, and that's been a problem, you know, for a long time. We haven't strengthened in midfield, and this is just going to be what we're going to have to go with. But Coutinho spun Luke Ayling like something dizzy. For me, Luke Ayling should have given him the reducer, man, just took him out. But Coutinho was done. You know what I mean? He should have just took him out. But it was a beautiful pass through, and Ramsey, clinical finish. And then it was like on 43 minutes, it looked like an attack. You know, where a team is going to finish off the game to make it 4-2 in like the 89th minute. But this was literally the 43rd minute. And it was a 2-on-2 attack. And Coutinho just rolled it through to Ramsey, who put it top corner. And you're thinking there, Jesus, man, 3-1, this is going to be a long night for us, just from the way the season's gone. But it was kind of like a last season game where we just didn't give up. And Dan James, brave header. I mean, I don't know how 5'something Dan James gets in between Mings and Conson, but he did. And he gets the goal. And then we equalize through another Mings mistake. And it's funny because I was saying on Thursday, no, what day are we on? I don't even know what day we're on Monday, actually, on the preview. We've got players where we need to move out in order to get to the next level. For me, they've got Mings they need to move out in order to get to the next level. Like, he's a big anchor in that team. And he proved again. I think he made nearly 3. I think he was at fault for nearly all 3 goals. Tyrone Mings. And he's the captain. So they need to probably get rid of him in the summer. If Steven Gerrard's as ruthless as I think he is, I think you will try and move him on. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was a great game. Their sending off was a sending off because it was 2 yellow cards. It was like 8 minutes of added time out of nowhere. But I think both teams, we were gassed at the end of the game. They were tired. So I think a draw was more than fair between the two teams. But I just want to say, Dan James, playing in an unfamiliar role, he's doing the business for us this season. Anywhere we've asked him to play, he's given 100%. So shout out to Dan James.
Yeah, well, I was going to actually ask you, but you've taken the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask how you felt about him in this new role. And do you think this could be a way to get more out of him? Because he's underwhelmed a bit, but do you think now this might be a way to get more out of him?
Nah, long term, I don't see him as a striker. I just don't see it, because he still hasn't got that instinctive movement that a striker needs against a better centre back, and that's what I'm saying about Mings. He's just not good. Like, don't get blinded by the England caps and everything else. He's not a good defender. So when he's coming up against better, we've seen Dan James get swallowed up, but then he'll just move around, go out to the wing. But yeah, Dan James, I want him back out on the wing preferably, but we haven't got any other strikers, or a striker that Bielsa's willing to play, because Gerrard can't touch the pitch right now for some reason, and we don't trust Tyler Roberts. So yeah, it's all mad. But I really can't complain with Dan James. I know he gets a bad rap of just being a speed merchant, but he's really improving on his final product as well. So big up to him. I haven't given up on him yet. I think he's got more to come.
Yeah, definitely, man. And obviously his first season at the club, so you know what I mean. We'll have to keep an eye on him. On Tyrone Mings, Lewis, I'll come to you on this one. Me personally, it was crazy, because watching him make the mistakes is like, you got to be kidding me. But for everyone who did watch the game, obviously Kagey watched the full game, he did actually make kind of maybe 2 or 3 really good defensive tackles. Also, it was really weird. He's like an all over the place centre back. Like 1 minute he'll make a great tackle, then the next minute make a terrible one. So I kind of get what Kagey means, is in like, if you want to move on, you can't have a guy who will make a mistake and do something well, because you're cancelling out what you did well every time. But as I said, how do you feel about Mings' performance and just the whole Aston Villa situation in general?
Like you said, overall for Villa, like, they're all going on the right path. But when it comes to defensive ability, you can say there's 1 or 2 great tackles here and there, and it does show the ability of the player. But the one thing you need, especially from a defensive standpoint, is consistency. Like, this is why I always say defending is a lot harder than going forward. Going forward, you can make all the mistakes that you want. You don't need that consistency. You just need to score once or twice. You make a mistake once or twice as a defender, you're conceding a goal, most likely. And that's why it's so much harder. And that's why the standard is so much higher. And with Tyrone Mings, like, this isn't just a start as well. I think there's been questions on him for about the last 18 months, if we're being honest. I remember people talking about his ability going back to last season. So it's just a case where just isn't that consistent of a defender, which, to be honest, from where Villa were when they first came into Premier League, you didn't really need that. So it was fine. Now the standards have gone up. He hasn't continued to go up with those standards, which is why there's going to be a question mark of whether he's going to be at the club next season or not.
Yeah.
Villa are doing great.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I know, Conroy, you wanted to quickly touch on Ramsey when we was talking off camera. You're really, really impressed with him, as I think we all are. But I mean, yeah, just how are you feeling about Ramsey, bro?
Well, I think it's, you mentioned Coutinho earlier, KG, and it's like, I think Ramsey's great because what Coutinho's got, he's not 100% right now, but he's always going to look for that through ball. And when you've got someone who's making midfield runs all the time like Ramsey, it's his dream, and that link-up will get better. Shout out to Watkins as well. I thought Watkins is quite a clever forward. Like, if you watch the third goal, it's actually his run that takes, I think it's Llorente, I might be wrong, and he clears the space for Ramsey. And it's like, you can tell their link-up's going to get better. And if you actually look at Villa's squad, guys, like, you've got Ings on the bench there as well. You've got Buendia, who's actually got better since Coutinho's came in, because it's like the competition. Yeah. They've got their avenues right now, and like, if you've watched Gerrard at Rangers and the style they play as well, Digne coming in, like, I think Gerrard will be ruthless, absolutely, because it's not like Mings has one game last night and it's a horror show. That can happen. He's notoriously been labelled with these errors, or kind of like, I don't know, just moments where you're just like, what's he doing? Like the third goal last night for Llorente is just like, that's not Premier League level. You can't pass a ball out at 2 yards out. That's just not on. But back on Ramsey, I think Villa in general, they've got another youngster as well who he came on against United. It starts at CH, but I can't pronounce it properly. But he's been quite impressed with him as well. And you've seen that I think there's a lot of good things happening at Villa. I'd be very surprised if Mings is first team even in the summer. I feel like Gerrard will be ruthless and get someone else in. But I would also like to make a comment on, I can't remember, about Mings as well. I think people have kind of went with the fairy tale about Mings because he kind of has a good story. Like he wasn't going to make it in football. I think he worked at either real estate, or like it wasn't like he was doing a paper round. Like he was actually in an adult job going to do that. Then I think he got a bit of a break at Ipswich, at left back, by the way, not at centre back. So this thing about him being a centre back, I don't know where it's. I just genuinely think it's because he's tall and quite a big guy that they think he's a centre back. Moved to Bournemouth, couldn't get a game, by the way. No one really talks about this. Charlie Daniels was keeping him out of the team. And every time I watched him, I thought his touch was horrendous. He's obviously went to Villa. He's improved that. But he became a makeshift centre-back that people suddenly thought was this great centre-back. I get a bit annoyed that Mings got a cap over people like Tarkowski, Ben Mee. You might not like them as players, but they've got a lot more stripes than what Tyrone Mings has. But for me, he's just not good. He's not even. Cons is a much better centre back, and I think you'll see that. I think Gerrard, if you've watched what he's done in Scotland and other examples, he'll be ruthless, and I think that's maybe why there's been rumours of Gomez recently as well. I don't think that'll happen, but you can tell he's putting the feelers out for a replacement centre back.
I think it will.
Drift. Just before, because Conroy's right. He's already done that with, a solid enough, not spectacular left back in Matt Target. He upgraded him to Coutinho, and also El Ghazi out the door. Like there is no sentiment there, so you can see him being that ruthless in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, just before I come to George, how do you feel if you literally just come in the door? Because we've seen a little bit of Arsenal where maybe Arteta throws his weight around a bit too much and it can cause unrest. Do you think Gerrard is doing it in the right way, where he's showing authority, but he's not trying to be too much of the I'm the man kind of thing?
Hey, was that to me, Drift?
Oh no, it's to KG, sir. Yeah, sir, to KG. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I thought you said George. No, I think it was always going to be in the cards that Gerrard would want his own squad. There was no way he was going to leave that kind of job with Rangers, where he was comfortable. And you kind of look what Rangers have been doing since he left. It's kind of telling, isn't it? But you can always see that Gerrard, when he came down, he was going to have a decent January window. But I think his main damage is going to be in the summer. And I think them getting Coutinho, what is it, for 33 million? Is it going to be? I think that's
maybe so, yeah. 40 million by option, something 40, like that.
Okay.
It's about that. I don't know specifically. I think it's about that.
Yeah. Well, either way, when you've got Coutinho playing and he's got what he wants, he's got an arm around him, he's got a manager that wants him there, that rates him highly. That's the kind of player that Coutinho is. And man, he's just oozing class. I mean, yesterday, I'm watching as an opposition fan. I'm just like, oh my days, he's killing us. He's absolutely murdering us. Like someone just chop him down. Like I don't care how it's happening. Just get him off the ball. But yeah, you can see with Gerrard, he's got a plan. And I even said to a Villa fan, I think that maybe one of the two strikers goes as well, and he gets one of his own in. And I thought more, if Norwich do stay up by some chance, that maybe even Watkins goes to Norwich and then he gets his own striker. But at the moment, he's using Watkins over Ings. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, Gerrard he's a headstrong manager. You can tell he was never going to come in and just be a yes man. You can tell that's not his style. So his style is going to have an imprint on Villa for years to come, I think.
Can I just add, Drift? So I know you've got to speak to George now, but for example, when he was in Scotland as well, like at times he's taken, like, so say like Morelos, you might look at he's playing well, but he'd taken him out of the team as example of his ruthlessness, but also as well when you talk about the way his aura. I don't assume former great players are like amazing managers. I've never done that, but there's an aura about Steven Gerrard that you can even tell at away grounds that he brings that into a club. And if you look at the Old Firm last week, Gerrard, I think, won 6 out of 7 last Old Firms. And I think he drew the other one. That's a ridiculous record. Like if you stay in Scotland, that's a ridiculous record for Old Firms. And you can tell that Rangers have lost that slightly for those head-to-head matches, that he just brings that to certain games. So I feel like it's going to be intriguing what Villa do in the next year, to be honest. And I think his signings are going to be interesting as well.
No, definitely. I mean, just before we move on to Spurs, George, how did you feel about the game yesterday?
Well, the Villa
The Villa
Well, I
Leeds
mean,
game, yeah.
I was at the Spurs game, so I didn't really get to catch most of it. Just seeing
Okay, yeah.
the scoreline flash by. Like, we got to half time. I looked down. It was 2. Like, what was it? It was like 1-0 or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I look up and it's 2-1, 3-1. And like, what the hell's 3-2? What the hell's going on in this game? Looked like a bit of a madness. Saw the clips of Coutinho after, and his vision is like second to none. I was a little bit worried he was going to be maybe like another James Rodriguez coming to the league, look good for a bit. But I still think he's the real deal. And I'm a bit gutted that we didn't really go for him at all, because we sort of missed that creative spark in midfield. And yeah, man, I'm just liking what Gerrard's doing at the moment with Villa, to be honest with you. And I think he's definitely building his own team. And I pretty much agree with literally everything everyone else has said. So not really got too much to add on that.
Yeah, I think Villa are definitely going to be one of the teams next season that could either disappoint us or literally meet our expectations and be fighting for maybe top 6, top 7, become one of the big boys. It will be interesting, as KG said, what they do in the window and how they back him. So moving on slightly from that enthralling game to for you, maybe not so enthralling game, George, but again, it was very entertaining for the neutral. I've got to admit, I recorded both games and then I watched both afterwards. And I was rooting for you because I can't have this Arsenal getting top 4 thing. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I mean, and I know Lewis has definitely come to rub it in with his avatar, but talk to me, bro. So I tell you what, yeah, everybody on the panel looked at me sideways at the beginning of the season when I said, be careful of Southampton. They're not a team when you play them and you're a big team that you can take lightly. Like, they seem to up their game for the big boys. And every game they've had against a big team, they've performed. Like, it's a reoccurring theme. And this time they got the win. Normally they get the draw out of it.
Yeah.
This time they got the win, George. Talk to me, bro. What's going on, bro?
It was a shambles from the beginning, mate, honestly. I don't understand how it was like the exact same starting 11, the exact same team, and even the exact same subs as well, pretty much, from the Brighton game in the FA Cup to what happened against Southampton. And arguably Brighton have been, and people would say, have been a much better team than Southampton have been across the whole season.
Yeah.
Yet we found one game so much easier than the other. I don't understand. From the first minute, we were letting Southampton play the way they wanted to play, rather than trying to dominate at home, which I think was disgraceful, to be honest with you. I can understand it being a bit more tough away because we've had some dodgy away games with Southampton before, but at home, I mean, we haven't lost in the last 5 games against them, at least, with only 2 of them being draws. Always conceded against them though, so I figured that would happen, and it did. But the defensive show from Emerson and Sanchez was pathetic. Like, for the whole 90 minutes, I think I saw a tweet. I didn't necessarily validate it, but I've seen it. They lost the ball, or they lost possession 17 times each in that game yesterday, which is like a record. It's like more than the team. It's like a record for the season. It was absolutely atrocious. And I remember specifically one as well, where Emerson is on the halfway line, halfway up the pitch, and he passes it all the way across the field, right in front of our defenders, straight to Brozier to put them on the attack, which is just shambolic. It is atrocious.
I mean, talk to me about, because I mean, obviously I wasn't trying to wind you up, but I had to put in a group yesterday. Emerson is definitely Tottenham's worst player. I mean, I know you didn't really like him anyway, but bro, there was a moment, I can't remember if it was their winning goal or no, it would have been their equalising goal, because the winning goal was the header, wasn't it? No, it might even have been.
They're both the exact same goal.
He came running round, and he did get into a position where he could cover, but it was clearly obvious the striker or the player was going to hit it first time. And instead of engaging, he just stood and he just watched him have the shot. And it was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, that, surely Emerson's got to come out of the team, even for the rest of the season. He's going to cost you points, bro.
You say that, and then Doherty's just as bad, if it was. We've got like the 2 worst right backs in the league. It's atrocious. Because like, this happens. Like, Emerson will play poorly, then we'll bring Doherty in. He'll do just as bad, and we think, oh, we need Emerson. Breath of fresh air. Comes back in, maybe has a decent game, and then it all just goes downhill again. It's just been a constant cycle this year of just not having a good enough right wing back tool. And that's why I said to you guys before. That's why I was absolutely gutted that we didn't get one in the January window. Like, even though I've said that I wasn't necessarily a big fan of having Traore there, I would much rather have Traore in that position than the players we currently have. So it's just like, it's a shame we didn't get anything done, and it's going to be a serious problem, especially within that game. It was Sanchez and Emerson doubling up on the right side. I mean, you can tell Southampton were exploiting that big time. They were doing everything in that first half on their left-hand side to take advantage of our defence there. So I can't wait for Dyer to get back and stick Romero as right centre-back, because we need that cover badly. And yeah, I mean, we did well to get back into it. I think we definitely started off the second half much, much better, and we were pressing them a lot higher as well. But Højbjerg must have still thought he was playing for Southampton. He gave the ball away 5 times, kicked the ball off the pitch. That was probably one of the stinkiest games I've seen from him all season. And he was one of our best players last year as well. So having Bentancur come on was great. I think he looked class again, even though he was only on for maybe like 15, 20 minutes. Like, his first touch was bringing the ball away from a defender, letting a play go on. His second touch was an unbelievable ball through to Lucas to put us in on goal. Yeah, so I think I'm excited to see. He's like pretty much the only positive from that game yesterday. He looked great.
Do you think he'll start now? Do you think, obviously, Conte's just getting him used to it, but do you think from the next game onwards now he's just going to play him from the beginning?
Yeah, I think for the Wolves game, he has to start in midfield. And to be honest with you, I think it needs to be a 3 in midfield and go back to a 3-5-2 that he did a lot with Inter, because a lot of Juve fans and his analysis as well have also said that Bentancur seems to struggle in the middle too. And that was sort of evident in the 2 goals we conceded at the end, because he wasn't necessarily tracking players back, which was a big concern that a lot of Juve fans have said to us before. Stick him in the middle 3 and it'll be easy control, easy ball progression, but maybe lacks that little bit of defensive awareness sometimes. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just we did well to then get the win. To be winning with 10 minutes to go. And it was just embarrassing that we just let Ward-Prowse have all the space he did to whip the exact same ball in twice. We all know he's got that quality to deliver any ball into the box. And yeah, shocking defending for the headers just meant that it was just 2 easy goals for them to get the winner. That was it, really.
Yeah, I mean, just before I move on to the others on the game. You know, you were saying about Kopi in Inter Milan. Do you think maybe he'd use Harry Kane like the Martinez, and then he'd get Son to be like the Lukaku? So Son would just finish off everything that Harry Kane did, all the creative dropping or the other way around. Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting though, isn't it?
We did it against you guys, and that was one of our best games at home. We played 3-5-2 and had Son and Kane up top, and it worked amazingly well, in my opinion. I thought we were so much more clinical on a counter attack when we had those 2 up front rather than like the 3 that we had. I think just having that, our midfield right now is nowhere near good enough to have just 2 of them playing, especially when none of them are creative midfielders. Since all of the midfielders we've got left are sort of just ball winners, let's say. I don't think any of them, apart from maybe Bentancur, are good enough to just play 2 in the middle. So I think we just need that sort of cover. Like with the 3 centre-backs, I think we need 3 centre-mids for now, just while we've got the cover and sign some better players in the summer, really.
Looking like you're probably getting Eriksen in the summer as well. Conte pretty much made it clear. If he gets himself fit, then, you know what I mean? So it looks like he'll be coming home in the summer. Lewis, I know you've been waiting to have your fun. So, you know what I mean? We like to let people have their fun. So what did you think of the game yesterday, bro?
It's just Tottenham, really. If we're being truly honest, I saw the 2 goals coming in 2 minutes. I thought, if this isn't the most Spursy shit I've seen in my life, but it's the top 4 race, which is why we keep saying, like, God knows who makes it, because you're only in the top 4 race for a lack of consistency, and we're seeing it again, the lack of consistency. I still think Spurs are one of the more favourites out of the teams to make it. United just continue to disappoint and continue to surprise you with how mediocre they are. Arsenal are just Arsenal. They always get ahead of themselves. Spurs, though, like, there is an understanding there that they aren't performing at the level that they should do, but they're in a good enough position. Like, I'm just grateful now they can't overtake us with their games in hand, thankfully, because that was scaring the shit out of me. But at least we don't have to worry about that. In terms of Tottenham as a team, though, Conte could still be enough to take them into that sort of position. It's just, I'm not sure. You're going to be seeing musical chairs with this 4th place position for the next few months. Let's be real about it. But right now, it's only looking like potentially Spurs, West Ham, maybe even Wolves, really.
Yeah.
But it's expected. It is definitely funny as well from a Chelsea perspective, because, like I said, this is why we are not in the top 4 race, because the teams below us are not consistent enough to actually make us pay for the games that we are flopping. because they just continue to flop themselves and they need the consistency to catch up to us. So this is why I don't see us as in the top 4 race. But from a Tottenham perspective, only just gets more and more frustrating. Like, it's yet again another pressing team that comes against Tottenham, and Tottenham just struggle to deal with the press. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that they need to look at in the summer. You need more press-resistant players. I don't know where you guys improve at. It all depends on the players that you brought in and how they continue to bed into the squad. You're right, Bentancur's looked decent. I haven't really looked too much at Kulusevski so far, so I can't say too much on him. But yeah, it's a bit rough for you guys still, but it's a bit rough for everybody in the top 4 race.
That's my only hope right now, is that Arsenal seem to be struggling, Man U are struggling, West Ham every now and again. But yeah,
just who's the most consistent out of an inconsistent bunch?
It feels like it's been like that for the last 3 years, though. Like, I feel like that 4th spot has always been down to who's flopping the least. Look at was it last year or the year before when it was between like Leicester and Chelsea and Man U,
and we lost, and then you guys beat them by an extra goal, and that was the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually madness, isn't it? I mean, KG, you're probably the first. No, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying that was it.
Oh, okay, yeah, KG, you're probably the best person to actually ask about the top 4 because you'll be completely unbiased. You're watching as a full-on spectator on this. Like, how does it feel? Like, who do you think will get it? What are you feeling about it? Because I mean, I know you didn't watch the Tottenham game because you was obviously playing yourself, but have you had a chance to see like what happened afterwards and stuff with the Tottenham game?
I actually had both games on. I had them on
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw the whole thing unfold, and I thought Ben Davies was at fault for one of them too. He did
he slipped with the clearance. It was terrible.
Yeah. So again, it's things like that they need to clear up, and it tells you something when they're asking for Eric Dyer to come back. That's something.
Yeah,
so,
real talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how you feel about the top 4 race though, bro? What's it looking like from an outsider's perspective looking in?
Yeah, I still think Spurs are one of the favourites to get it. I do. I think Man United is still in with a shout. They both teams just need to fix up and get some results together. And it sounds like it's easier said than done with these clubs right now. I do think Wolves have got an outside chance just from how defensively organised Wolves are. So they've also got a chance. And I've actually got Wolves beating Arsenal tonight. So we'll we'll see. But yeah, and West Ham too. This is the most. I think I said it to somebody. I don't know if it was in our group chat or not, but the top 4 race is the most interesting thing in the league right now because you literally can't call it.
Yeah, I mean the relegation battle is heating up with Everton. Look like they're dragged right back in now as well. But yeah, you're probably right. I think top 4 is definitely the most. Who knows? Like if somebody right now said, "I want you to put every penny you have on it," nobody would confidently pick the person they were picking. Nobody. Like it would be crazy to assume. I mean, they're talking about the other team in there, Man United. I won't dwell on it too much because there's no one here to defend them. But Conroy, we've got Burnley at the weekend. So the fact that they played Man U, I mean, how did you feel about the Man U Burnley game? And obviously, Burnley looking like maybe there's a bit of fight left in them. Because at one point, it looked like they were done. But is there any fight left in them, or were they lucky against United, do you think?
I feel like the way that game started, I think Man United started quite well, similar to probably the Middlesbrough game. They had quite a lot of chances, as they should with those players, by the way. Let's just highlight that clearly, because we're not talking about a Sunday League team here. There's a lot of money and a lot of quality in that team. And I think the first goal gets disallowed. There's a VAR, the first goal, then Pogba scores.
Yeah, for the foul,
Yeah. And I think actually there's another, so two VAR disallowed.
2 fouls, I think it was 2 fouls,
Yeah, so when I'm watching that, to be fair, I thought similar to that game, they started, but as soon as I think Burnley got a bit of confidence, second half was a different story. I mean, I think they scored in the 47th minute. Veghorst, I think it was a good signing, 12 million, I think. He does really well. He actually turns Maguire. I think Maguire's still turning, actually. I'm not going to go, because you know what, actually, I think sometimes some people just get too much, so I'm not even going to go on Maguire too much about that. But yeah, basically, does him with that turn, and then it's a really good reverse ball into Jay Rodriguez. I know people forget Jay Rodriguez, actually, because he plays for Burnley now. He's had a lot of bad injuries, but he was right part of that Southampton team with Lallana, and he was kind of built for big things a long time ago. I think injuries haven't helped his career, but he has a really good finish. And in second half, Burnley could have easily won that. People, if you were watching that as a neutral, people were definitely thinking, if I'm going to put money on this, I'm putting Burnley to win second half. And the way it worked out, it's another drop points for Man United. And if I'm looking at our game drift, to be honest, mate, I think Burnley at Turf Moor, we've actually done better than we think there, because we always think, oh, we might lose that game, and you can always lose. Hard place to go. But I feel like we'll get the job done there. Even if it's a similar sort of game, I feel like we'll have enough just to get through that. Whereas United now, I think when it becomes an even contest, you've seen that in the last couple of games that most teams, I feel like, fancy their chances. There's no fear of United anymore, and that's quite baffling when you think about not even the stature of the club, just the players that they've bought in, but how poorly they've utilised them. What is the philosophy? No one knows. Say play the balls wide. All right, who knows anymore? And I feel like the way that club's ran, as you can tell, they've wasted £1 billion, and we're another. What's the word there when you change it? This football term that everyone uses to buy them time.
Oh, the rebuild.
Rebuild. This is a thing. I understand it to a certain extent, but like Tuchel just won the Champions League with that squad. Conte's, I know it can't always be done, but this is the go-to word, and it just seems to be that they're going to have another rebuild. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that point. I still find that baffling how you can be so poorly using money so poorly. But yeah, on the Liverpool side, I think we'll be okay, mate. You know what it's like against Burnley. Last season was probably the best performance we had at Turf Moor with Big Nat playing, because he just loves these types of games.
Yeah.
I think we'll have enough to get through it.
Fair enough. So obviously Chelsea aren't in action, but it's because you're off representing in the good old World Club Championship. I know all about that. Feels very good to win it and be called champion of the world. So let's just quickly touch on that before we go into the predictions and the previews for the upcoming games. Lewis, how are you feeling? Because obviously you weren't playing, and you're not going to be playing again at the weekend. And I really wanted you to slap Arsenal, but obviously we're going to have to wait for that one because that game's now been postponed. But yeah, how are you feeling about the World Cup Championship, bro?
We got through, I guess, but I said we haven't played well in ages, and we still haven't. I wasn't confident for that game, especially coming off the abomination that was that Plymouth game on the weekend, where we just scraped on account of a penalty. I don't know if any of you guys watched that. We were getting moved to by a League One side for a long period.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And if they scored the penalty, it would have went to penalties. That was even more crazy, bro.
Imagine going, I don't even want to think about it. Thank God we went through, but we played like trash. And the game yesterday, we were okay, but we had a bit of control in the first half. Couldn't really do much going forward. Lukaku was poor until he got his goal, and then he got a bit more confidence in him. But then in the second half, we took Jorginho off, who, to be honest, was having an average game. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. He was just there, really, but he still had a couple sloppy passes here and there. But we brought on Kante, and then we lost control in the midfield because we didn't have any sitters. Marcos Alonso kept getting done on the left-hand side, the same way he always does. And we just managed to get by on the account of we were very good defensively. Now, even then, in phases, Rudiger was poor in the second half from my point of view. It just wasn't an inspiring or convincing performance for me, but it was enough to beat Al Hilal, and now we have Palmeiras in the final. And I'm still a bit anxious about that because it was a Brazilian team that beat us in the final in 2012. So I'm definitely not going into this game thinking we should be walking all over. We haven't played like we should be walking over anyone in the last month or two. But it's not been great. It's not been inspiring. But we've still been getting results. That might be enough to take us through to winning the whole Club World Cup. But we'll have to wait and see. It wasn't an amazing performance from us.
Do you know what's quite strange? I don't know if you lot agree with me or if this is just me, but I've noticed whenever English teams go and play in the World Club Championship, they do kind of tend to struggle no matter how good they are as a team. Do you think it's because football around the continent, with it being so different, it doesn't necessarily mean because you've got better players, you can outplay whatever their style is? If you play a Brazilian team and they're very skillful and they don't need to have a bunch of superstars to be able to cause you problems. If everyone's good on the ball, everybody's skillful and that kind of thing. Do you think it's an element of surprise? Do you think people are a little bit tired from traveling? What do you think it is? Or is it just me? Do you think English teams do perform well in the World Cup Championship?
I understand what you're saying. And I do believe that there's some teams where you could come out and you're a bit complacent and you don't really expect a good performance from the opposition. But it's not for this game yesterday. because Al Hilal weren't good. Like, we were the better team in the first half, despite not really playing well ourselves. Then they started applying more pressure in the second half because they were behind. And it did get them a few more chances, but I never really sat there and thought, this team are battering us. It's just more, we're not playing well. Like, someone saying Rudiger was good defensively. First half, maybe. Second half, he wasn't. Second half, he was very sloppy, especially playing the ball out from the back. Alonso, we already said, Kepa saved us with a bunch of really good saves in the second half too. But no one really stood out and inspired for me. Like, Havertz was okay in phases. Ziyech was okay in phases. AC, Silva were good in phases. No one really stood out for me. Kovacic as well, good in phases too. But it just wasn't inspiring, and it wasn't really a progressive performance either. It was just enough, which is what we've said about Chelsea for a while. It's just enough.
And obviously, sticking with it, did you think you'll get the win? I know, obviously, even the final now against Palmeiras. Do you think you'll get the win? How are you feeling about the final?
Whatever Chelsea turns up, innit? Like, I know whatever front three plays, I'm going to have a problem with it because I don't like a lot of our attackers. In midfield, like, I like Jorginho, but Jorginho's been getting overplayed for years, and I think he's finally starting to bear the brunt of it right now because he's not really been as consistent as we've seen in previous games. Defensively, I never worry about. Like, that's the only part of the picture I'm like, okay, we'll be fine here. It all depends on going forward. But progressively, I don't know what we're going to do because it will probably be Aspi and Alonso, and they're not really the best at covering ground when you give them an entire length of the pitch to cover. Going forwards, we're always wasteful, always. So it just depends on how many chances we take. But I need to look more at Palmeiras, and I need to see how they play on Saturday because I have no clue what to expect from them. I'm not even going to pretend I watched the semi-final game from them because I didn't. But it depends. Just please don't come out complacent because I can't be asked for us to lose another Club World Cup final. But I need the team to inspire me because I don't really have a lot of inspiration in this squad.
Just
Fair
do
enough,
you think? I just want to get you guys thoughts. Like, do you think the players and the clubs actually really care too much about the Club World Cup? Because I don't know about you guys.
Liverpool did, yeah.
To me personally, it just comes across as like the community shield of Europe, world sort of competitions. And I feel like you see these big teams switch off in FA Cup fixtures, let alone like a Club World Cup. I feel like it's kind of easily forgotten about afterwards, which is probably why teams like Chelsea may struggle in some games or not win. I don't know. I just want to get your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was, when I was saying, like, do you think it's the continent and the different style that's the problem? Because I agree, I don't think English clubs really perform that well. Even if they win it, it'll always be like maybe lucky or last minute winner, like when we went to extra time. And, you just think, we should be way better than this team. Why are we struggling? But then is it the styles? I don't know. You could be right. Maybe it is mentality. Maybe they just feel like, it ain't really that important. But I think Liverpool took it. I don't know, Conroy, if you agree. I think we took it really, really seriously when we was in it.
Yeah, well, I also just like human nature. If you're travelling somewhere for those two games, or if you get through the final, you want to win it because it's a long trip, to get to the destination. But what I would say, as this came up before, I think the narrative is see for like the South American teams as well. See for them, it's a huge game. Like, I'm not being disrespectful to other teams, but more likely they're going to get to the final. You've seen it against us, Drifty. It tends to usually be one of those teams. And to them, it's like, well, everything's European. Champions League, everything is like huge football-wise. That's what the narrative is. So this is a chance for a South American team to really take a scalp, really make a statement.
Name for themselves almost, yeah.
And it's happened in the past. I think if you remember the Genève final where he makes two mistakes against, I want to say Santos, but it might not be. I think Rivaldo might be playing, or is it Romario's playing?
Oh, when Romario got the winning goal, all them years back. Yeah, I remember that.
We lost with the Benitez team to, I think that was Santos at that time. So there's been losses with English sides in the past. So I definitely think to other nations, it's more important. However, if you ask me just from like a fan perspective, I think any trophy you should want to win it, especially if you're travelling to it. And I think Chelsea will win because I think Lewis even if Chelsea don't play well, they've got enough they'll just get over the line.
Yeah, definitely, man. So it'll be interesting. Bommy here saying Chelsea are being serious because they took the whole team. I do think you're taking it serious, so I think you'll win it. Do you know what I mean? But it'll be very interesting. Right, guys, let's move on to some previews. We've got some interesting games coming up at the weekend. I'm going to start with UKG because I think if you win this game, you fully put them in the mud. So come on, Leeds, away at Everton, who are not playing well at the moment. Even with Lampard, they didn't even get the manager boost or whatever. I see Dele Alli cut his hair, so I'm like, he's new start, new team, new start, and all that. But yeah, Everton, talk to me, KG, because they are in the mud right now. How are you feeling about this game, bro?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you think that going into this game that we should be full of confidence and ready to go there and win, but we do have to take into account that Frank Lampard puts everything into beating Marcelo Bielsa. That's just a fact as well.
Oh yeah, it's Everton Leeds.
Yeah. He doesn't make a secret of it either. You know, he even mentioned us on the overlap with Gary Neville. You know, this man that's won Champions Leagues and everything else like that still got Leeds on his mind. So it's not just going to be a regular game where Everton are in bad form and we should go there after a decent result against Villa. I think it's going to be completely different. So in my and listen, and we're not great ourselves either. Let's be fair. You know, we've still only won 5 games all season with I think about eight draws now. So we're not in any position to look down at a team away from home and think we should go there and win. We've got a very good chance of doing so because of the way Everton are playing. But I do think that Lampard's going to really get these guys up for it. So for me, I can't see anything but a draw, but it wouldn't surprise me if we do win. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me if we lose as well, because that's just how our season has been. But I could definitely see a draw, 1-1.
Okay, so you're going with a 1-1 draw, which, to be fair, Goodison is a difficult place to go. So that would be a good result for Leeds, in my opinion, if you get the draw.
Yeah, this season it would be, yeah. I mean, we've beaten them there before. I think we beat them there last season, yeah. But we're a different team this year, so 1-1, I would take that.
Fair enough, George. How do you think that game will go? What's your score prediction for the Everton Leeds game, bro?
I think a draw is pretty spot on, to be honest with you, because I mean, I see a lot of people getting hyped over Lampard being their manager, and I personally don't see it. I didn't see it when he went to Chelsea. I didn't see it when he was at Derby. He may become a good manager in the future, but I feel like he's just jumped the gun so much, especially when you compare him to someone like Gerrard, who's, you know, gone away, found his sort of feet somewhere, learned it sort of the hard way. And I feel like, to me anyway, from what I see on the outside, I don't see Lampard having any sort of authority as a manager at the moment. And I think there might just be a little bit overhyped with him. But yeah, but like they might have the manager bounce at some point and perform well. But I think Everton, to me, throughout the whole season have not looked great. Obviously, I know Leeds have obviously had their downtime as well. So I think draw is just a fair result, really.
On the Lampard, just quickly, do you think it might be because he's a proper stand-up guy and he is a role model in football, where it's like, yeah, you can just have all these jobs and it hasn't ever had anything to do with his coaching ability, as you said? Because, I mean, he is a model professional. He's a proper stand-up guy, you know what I mean? And so do you think that's kind of how he's ended up with the jobs?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, pretty much. I think the Chelsea one was definitely because he was is a legend of the club. And I mean, to not even secure promotion with Derby at the time and then get offered one of the biggest Premier League jobs, or even technically one of the biggest jobs in Europe, was very strange to me. And I think I've said this before, I think he's only performed well at the beginning of his Chelsea career because of the transfer ban. And he effectively had to use young and academy players. And these are the kids that would have looked up to him big time when he was playing in the Premier League. So he sort of had their respect to be able to play well for him. Then we started to see him actually bring in some top European talent, spent a lot of money on players. And then you see the likes of Rudiger effectively coming out saying he doesn't know what he's doing. He's tactically unaware. So I think it's like he hasn't earned his way to these teams at all at the moment. I think he should have stuck with the Championship, maybe found his feet there first, sort of command some respect for what he's done, like what Gerrard's done with Rangers. He can now come into the Premier League and say, look, I've got my way of playing. You see me do it over there. I'm going to bring in my own players. I'm going to do it this way. I just don't see that with Lampard at all at the moment. So, yeah. That's just
and on Lampard as well. I mean, he's got to get his man management skills better too, because I know a couple of players that have literally been frozen out by him, and he doesn't talk to them, doesn't give them a reason why. You're just out of the team, and he doesn't tell you why. So he's got to improve that, because you can't have that in your squad. You just got players just floating around like, why am I not playing after I played last week? And it's funny, isn't it? Now we talk about Gerrard, Lampard. They're going to be compared forever, aren't they? Like they're just intertwined forever. Gerrard and Lampard.
100%. Yeah,
It's like a fate thing right now. Just constantly going at each other.
Can I just add as well, not to go on about the Gerrard thing, but it's to think Gerrard time in Scotland was a fairy tale. Like it really wasn't. You talk about like learning from your mistakes. Like he made quite a few mistakes, and because he got time, and time is something that's valuable in football. You don't really get that a lot. You say the Championship, George, but he needs some Championship job. Like look at Lee Johnson for Sunderland. I know they were not where they wanted to be, but they were still in a reasonable position, and he got sacked. So it's like Gerrard literally lost 1-0 at home to Hamilton 2 weeks after going out the title race, and he kept his job. So stuff like that. And then there's a few occasions where, like Connor Goldson, after games, he'd call players out, like in the press, the post-match interview, and you could tell it was poor management. It was poor man management. He's learnt from that. He's learned from his mistakes, and at the same time, he's obviously developed his football identity. But I feel like you need that. I feel like sometimes it's a bit of a extremism with Lampard. People think he's terrible. Some people think he's a good coach. For me, I just think he's just made the wrong choices. Like, you need to give yourself time to adapt and learn. And I feel like this Everton job, I've got to agree with George, I just feel like it's a terrible decision because this is going to be a scrap. I don't like, and my prediction for the game, I'm going to, because the way Leeds play, Everton could win this game because Leeds will always give you space. But I would not be surprised if Leeds beat Everton. Like, 'cause I feel like if they play like they did yesterday, I think they've got a good chance of beating Everton. And to be fair, last season, I think it was one of your best performances, KJ, when you won 1-0 with Rafinha. You played Everton off the park. So there is, I know obviously you're in better form last year, but I think you could easily win. And there's this narrative that Everton are in a relegation battle. Is it just me who thinks that?
No, they are.
The 1 point off of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Newcastle obviously beating them at the week. That was a massive game. And Newcastle signings, Trippier kind of getting off the mark in that game. Looks like there's something good happening under how they are. I mean, it's going to be a pressure cooker in no time under Lampard. And do you guys, honestly, do you think his next 5 games, do you think he'll do well or do you think it'll just get worse?
I mean, I feel a little bit like they're unpredictable, not in a Man United way where they'll probably win. They're unpredictable and they may lose. So, Man United probably normally get a draw, but they might sneak a win. I think Everton normally get draws, but they could lose. So they're like the opposite to Man U. So I think they're banging a relegation fight, to be honest with you.
Just looking at the at Everton's form, they've won 1 game since the 2nd of October. The rest of them have been losses, and
the team it was is hilarious as well.
Yeah, Arsenal.
That is crazy.
That great winner.
Not even trying to stick up for Benitez because he was terrible, but Lampard coming in and not getting any better kind of shows it might be the players and not the coach. Do you get what I mean? Because like they didn't even get the manager bounced. There was nothing. It was like Lampard's the one who'd been there the whole time. You know what I mean? So
I think as well the
drift with that though. If it really was not the coach and it's the players, then they should never have sold Dina and then sacked Benitez literally a week or so later. That's just a whole mess.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything about it, though, isn't it? The structure. So, George.
But no, I was just saying that like Everton have got issues with their owners as well, like between the fans and the ownership. Like it's very sort of a bit hostile at the moment, it seems. So I think like it's going to be tough to give Lampard time because it's something that they're going to have to do if they really want him to succeed. But it's going to be tough because they're going to be on the back straight away. Like I said, they're in a relegation battle. Like, there's no hiding from it. If they get relegated this year with Lampard as a manager, he will not be there past the summer. So it's a strange one for me personally.
Yeah, if they get relegated, we're building Rafa a statue. I don't care.
It's not unstable, because look at Dean Smith. Like Dean Smith is doing a good job at Norwich. Norwich are getting points on the board. Like Newcastle and even Burnley. Like Burnley are at the very bottom right now, and they just got a draw with United. So I think it's very foreseeable that Everton could be right in that to the last game of the season.
Yeah, the relegation battle is very interesting at the moment. It is. It's going to be just as entertaining as the top 4 race, I reckon. What do you think of the score for the Everton Leeds game, bro? Conroy.
I think, Leeds are crazy though, because Leeds are just like the second goal yesterday. He has all the space because that's just the way they play. They press, I'm going to say I'm going to be a bit different. I think Leeds will win. I would go 2-1. Leeds. I
2-1
think
to
you can
Leeds.
be. I think you should, but just I know the way Bielsa will play, and I know you know that more than me, mate. But I just know
Yeah.
he'll give Everton a chance, and there'll be space. And you've got players like they've got obviously Townsend and Gray.
Richarlison. I think Richarlison, they've just got to make sure they watch his runs. That's all Leeds have got to do. Don't let Richarlison make them runs off of the last man. If they avoid that, they'll beat him. That's literally Everton's only threat. Is the ball over the top, Richarlison makes that run in behind. If Leeds can just not leave that space, I think they'll probably win it, maybe 2-0, maybe.
Leeds will look at it this way though, Drift. They could win 4-0 doing it that way. So fair play. Bielsa will stand by it. I respect that to a certain extent.
Yeah. Lewis, obviously, I know you don't really like talking about your legends in a bad way, but I know you're also real. So the Everton Leeds game, how are you feeling about Lampard, and what do you think the score will be in that one, bro?
It's at Leeds, isn't it?
No,
No,
it's at
Everton.
Goodison. It's at Goodison.
Oh, okay, that might change things a little bit, but I don't know, because I think Frank Lampard's also starting to realise the magnitude of the job that he has on his hands, and to be honest, I still think Everton stay up. I don't think they go down. I think they flirt with it a lot, but I don't think that they're going to go down in this instance. But against Leeds, who look like they're in very good form right now, who also look very dangerous going forward, especially if the last game's anything to go by, you could see another game that's a bit more open than, just as open as the Villa Leeds match, because we know how Lampard likes to play, and we know defensively isn't really his strongest suit. So you could see another high-scoring game in this. I think I will just edge Leeds in this one, though. I think 3-2, though. I think there's definitely going to be a bit of a heartache for them, but I think Lampard's still going to just be trying to get himself into the understanding of the job, figure out his best team and everything. So I think it's too early for him to see him get a big result so far. But yeah, I'll go Leeds 3-2.
Well, I don't know if KG's heart could take another 3-2 after that enthralling 3-3 yesterday. That'll be mad. I just got one super chat before we move on to the next game from DJ. Big up, bro. Lampard finished 4th with a transfer ban. School Bielsa at Derby, got to the cup final, finished above Spurs. What the F are you lot talking about? Be objective.
Yeah, but that's like, I'm not being funny.
No.
That's like you can take anything positive about anyone and just use that and spin it, sort of thing. If you take the moments in isolation, look what happened after the transfer ban, like I said, when he actually got big players in, couldn't manage them. Cup final, lost to Arsenal, should never have happened. And finishing above us, we've had our worst team for a decade in that period. So it's like...
It's about
it's just finding little things.
Yeah, it's about learning. Like Gerrard had to learn, Lampard's gave himself such a massive task with Chelsea that you're always going to make mistakes, and unfortunately, that's the headlines, and it's hard to get rid of that narrative, I think.
And it's like what I said before. I do think he could be. I do think he could be a good manager, but he's just like Conroy said before, just taken the wrong steps to sort of like learn the trade. And like we've, I think maybe KG said it before. Like, just because you're a great player, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a good manager. He's got to learn that way.
And also the whole Derby thing. I mean, he schooled Bielsa. He won one of the 4 games, and yes, it was the most important game out of the 4 that he won. But you've got to remember what he did with that Derby team. He got in very expensive loans. He had very expensive players on the wage bill at that time, which is a big reason why Derby are in the mess they're in right now as we speak. They had Harry Wilson, they had Tomori, they had Mason Mount. They had a whole array of talent in that team, and they should have done better than they did. So again, you're talking about you got to a playoff final, but you didn't win it. So you've just mentioned 2 cup finals there, and you won neither of them. So it depends what you class as a success.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just before we move on, I think the comparison with Gerrard, which is naturally going to happen, I think a lot of people forget that Gerrard was also making mistakes in the under-18s when nobody cared. So he was implementing the style and trying to figure out if it worked with a team, and nobody cared. And you know what I mean? You can learn with the under-18s, whether this works, whether that works, if people listen, do you know what I mean? And then he took that to Rangers and then, went up another level. And it's true, Lampard just went straight in at the deep end because Derby's a big club and it was a big deal. And Chelsea was like humongous. Chelsea's a top 10 job in the world, like easily at all times. And Lampard, is he a top 10 manager? No. So it was a bit of a crazy move. But speaking of world-class managers, obviously, the disappointment of Southampton, George. What's Conte going to do with this massive away game against Wolves, man? This is a big game. I'm
Home.
looking forward to this one as a spectator.
Nuno
I'm not
Derby,
gonna lie.
let's go.
the Nuno sacking derby. Yeah.
How you feeling about this one, though, bro? Wolves away.
I would have been a lot more confident if we beat Southampton yesterday, because I've said before in the stream, I think obviously Chelsea has been like a big problem from us for a long time. So losing to them wasn't anything new. And I said before that with Conte, we have tended to win the games we should have done. Yesterday, we didn't do that. So now I'm a little bit more worried about Wolves, especially because I think Bruno Lage, is that how you pronounce it? Lage? I think he's
Oh, hold on. Spurs are at home on the fixtures.
We're at home. We're at home.
Oh, my bad. I thought I saw it say you was away. Okay.
But still, I don't think it matters. We lost to them last year away, I think, with at home. Sorry, with Jimenez counter. So I mean, it's not going to be an easy game at all. I think they're doing well, but I mean, knowing Conte and how he behaves, even if you look at the halftime team talks, we turn into a different team in the second half in most games. So if he's got now a few days to prepare for Wolves, I think he's going to seriously kick the players into gear. And like I said, players like Bentancur have to start, and I think he will elevate our midfield a little bit. So I do think we can still win that game, but I am not expecting an easy one at all. Probably thinking maybe like 2-1, maybe a heartful 1-0. Yeah, man, it's going to be a tough game.
No, definitely. I just got a super chat here from Zabiri. Big up yourself, bro. Bless up Drifty and the wonderful panel. Kagey, sorry for kicking you while you were down. Sorry for kicking you while you're down, but I need your thoughts on Milner. And George, what's up with Spurs, man? So obviously, first, KG, what's your thoughts on Milner, bro?
Oh, well, he's a Prem legend. I mean, we didn't get enough out of him. We sold him for very cheap as well, which is very upsetting, but we was in the mud at that time, so understandable. But yeah, man, Milner's a certified Prem legend, man. You can't say anything bad about him. I think he's coming to the end. It's fair to say the way that he's going in midfield now. He's doing those like old school, I'm just going to hack you down because I can't chase you no more tackles. Listen, he's a Prem legend, certified, man. I love Milner. So
yeah. The talk is that maybe he might actually come and finish his career with you guys because he still wants to play. He wouldn't be able to keep up, would he?
It's not happening, and it's got nothing to do with him not being any good. Don't get me wrong. It's just the training. We have enough injuries now, and he's getting injured a lot. He just won't last in the training sessions alone. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and obviously, you also asked what's up with Spurs, but obviously you've been saying, you know, there's not really much. I know it's hurting you to talk about it, so
I know it's not up our points.
Big up DJ says, "With Derby better than Villa's team? Come on now, be real." No, but I mean, could you argue Derby's team maybe was as good as Rangers' team? Though I know they're in different leagues, but Derby's team was as good as Rangers' team, right? I mean, Conroy, you're probably best to answer that one because you watch Rangers a lot. Would you say that Derby team that Lampard had was better than Rangers?
Better not. Probably not. If you obviously got Mason Mount, who people aren't aware of then, and he was really good. But I think the best striker was Jack Marriott, and he got him on loan from Peterborough.
They had Marriott, and I think they had what's his name again? Chris something, and they moved him out on loan.
Chris Martin.
Chris Martin, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And also Tom Lawrence as well. Tom Lawrence was there.
The Rangers team. To be fair, like that's the Rangers team.
Oh, Wilson,
Harry Wilson.
He had Harry Wilson. Yeah, he did.
I think Huddleston was there too, and Brad Johnson was there. They had an expensive team there.
Yeah. I feel like championship-wise, definitely, it's a hard one because if you look at that Rangers team, that's a Rangers team that went quite far in the Europa League quite a few times, beat some big teams, like, got a result, 2 draws against Benfica, knocked Braga out, beat Porto. So I would say the Rangers team probably definitely attacking-wise when you have players like Aribo, Morelos, you got like Barisic, Tavernier. It's a hard comparison. I would probably say the Rangers team's better, but for a championship team, that Derby team was very good. See, if you look back at that Villa team now, probably looks better. But at the time, I thought it was quite an even final. Like I wasn't sure
even as well.
It was. It was.
Yeah, but it was because he didn't play Marriott. That was the reason. Because Marriott came on against Leeds, scored twice, and then he didn't play him against Villa. And I think El Ghazi and I want to say McGinn. Like McGinn scores like one of the luckiest goals ever. Is it hit off him or something? I can't remember. Something stupid like that. I remember watching it, but at the time,
I don't. Yeah. I don't actually remember the final.
I gotta be honest. That final's hazy for me because I was still in mourning, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I was annoyed because I wanted you to come up as well that year, so I was annoyed as well.
Yeah, same.
It was when Liam Cooper pulled them back. I was like, "What are you doing?" That was madness.
Oh, please. Oh, God.
So George, sorry, did you give a score prediction, George, for the game?
For
the Wolves, for the Tottenham Wolves?
I think either 1-0 or 2-1 to us, just about, maybe.
Okay. Lewis, what do you think? Tottenham are at home, Wolves. What's your score prediction for that one, bro?
1-1. Yeah, I think I'll go 1-1. Both teams are going to be in the race for top 4, so I think it'll be evens.
Cool. KG, what do you think of that one, bro?
Yeah, I've got 1-1 too. Yeah,
1-1. Everyone going for a draw. I actually think that it will be 2-1 to Tottenham, and the winner will come right at the end. I think like Conte seems to be the man of just mad endings. Even the other day when you got the equaliser, but it was just offside. Like, I think you'll just win it at the end, but it will be a really, really cagey game. And just to finish up, Conroy.
What if Wolves win tonight and beat Tottenham? Like if I'm Bruno Lage, I'm like, listen, this is a chance to prove yourself. This is a chance to make a statement. So you never know.
Very true. I mean, if they do that, will they be in the top 4 at that point? If they win the 2 back to back,
be above United, and I think West Ham have played more games. So technically, I think like they would be in the top 4, like after all the games are played. But I think West Ham have played a few more. That's the only thing.
The funny thing is, I know, actually, let's do it then, because obviously they're playing Arsenal today. I've just got a sinking feeling. I know where Arsenal are going to get a win because they do this. There'll be a team where you kind of feel like that team will beat Arsenal, and then somehow they, like Everton, when Everton played Arsenal, when you felt like Everton would probably do something and then Arsenal beat them. Arsenal are like the weirdest team in the world. So I'm actually going to go 1-0 to Arsenal tonight. KJ, what do you think tonight's game with Arsenal will be?
Yeah, I think Wolves are going to win tonight. I do. I think it's going to be very, very low scoring. I think it's going to be 1-0 to Wolves. And the other thing as well with Wolves is that they've still got Neto to come back as well in around March, I think. So... not like a new signing. I don't want to say that not like a new signing thing, but he's going to give them a boost going into the top 4 race.
I mean, I'm worried about him though. He's been out for a long time.
Yeah, he's been out for ages. Yeah.
And he had the setback, which is always worrying as well as a fan. If your player has a setback, then you think, but what a player though.
But just quickly though, their goalie is unreal. Sarr. I never heard of him before this season, but he's tremendous, man.
He is, isn't it?
As well. That's a big, literally gloves to fill. So that's a very good sign.
Because I was really shocked. I'm thinking, hold on, they had a quality goalkeeper. Why did they even bother? But he's come in, and you're right, KG. He does look brilliant.
I think he's actually been one. I think he's been one of the signings of the season.
Same here. Yeah, with you.
Definitely. Lewis, what do you think of the game tonight, bro? What do you think the score will be for tonight?
Arsenal v who again?
Wolves.
Oh, it's Arsenal who have Wolves.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Oh, fuck. Why did I think it was Tottenham? I can't be Arsenal.
No, Tottenham.
Arsenal.
That's what I'm saying. I'll get to you for the weekend. Let's just quickly talk about the game because it's obviously tonight. So just quickly.
Arsenal Wolves. 1-0 Wolves.
Okay, so two Wolves wins. Conroy, finish it off. What do you think tonight?
I'll say 1-1 because I get what you're saying, Drift. The Arsenal are weird like that. You could see Saka scoring 2 and they win these games 3-0. They're weird like that. They just have occasionally good results like that away from home. But I think 1-1 tonight. But just to add, guys, would you say that Bruno Lage might be up for Manager of the Year?
Depends where they finish, but
if they get 4th, if they somehow get 4th, then probably.
Even if they get 6th for whatever, right, European football, and then City win the league by 5 points, or it's a close win. It's not like by a landslide. Then it's a hard one because I would look at that and think he's done an amazing job because he's not signed lots of players, but they play a good style of football as well. It's not like massively defensive. Like they do play good football in some games. So Just wanted to get your take on that.
I would say a sixth place finish and the kind of defensive record that they've got now. If they keep that, then he's in with a shout, definitely, because they don't concede goals, man.
He'll probably get nominated, but I still don't see how Pep won't win it if he wins the league again. It's just how these sort of votes go. So
yeah, I think Pep will deserve it if he wins the league again. But he is definitely a shout, and I think it was a very good decision. Do you guys remember when Southampton brought in Pochettino, and it felt like a really weird decision because it wasn't like they were doing badly, but then Pochettino kind of took them to the next level. This feels a little bit like that. Like you're feeling like, why are they going to get rid of him? Like it's a bit of a weird one. Like he's done really well, and now they look like they have kicked on, and it's kind of like, okay, well we get it now. Obviously the decision was you wanted to change your style, which Southampton wanted to do as well. And this style's proving better for your squad, so good on them, I guess.
A bit like Potter, a bit like Brighton with Potter. Everyone was like, "This is
that's another one." Yeah.
And now it's like people are saying he should be getting all the jobs. So this is
Fair
why some
play to
people
him,
actually they have to make certain decisions, and other people, they're good at it. Potter. I'm not going to start talking about Potter because I love Potter. I'm not on the show very often, but I'm not going to start. I love Graham Potter, so we're not going to get on about that.
And so, George, did I actually get your Arsenal Wolves
no,
prediction? Did I?
I think it could be 0-0. I think both teams haven't necessarily been amazing going forward recently. And like Kage was saying, with the way Wolves have been defending, I can see tonight's game being 0-0, which would be great for me. As long as Arsenal drop points, happy days.
Happy days. So, Lewis, on to the Tottenham Wolves, just to finish up for the weekend. How do you think that one will go, bro?
Yeah, that one I think could be a draw because regardless of Tottenham's form, I rate them as a better squad than Arsenal at the very least. I do think that they can still give them more of a fight. Maybe a good performance against Arsenal might also give them an opportunity to slip up in a game against Tottenham because I don't know how consistent they're going to be, but I don't expect Spurs to have a string of bad results. So I could see a draw, maybe lean a bit. That's your ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be leaning more towards the Tottenham win as well, to be honest. But for now, stay quiet and just say draw and go 1-1.
1-1. KG, what do you think of the Tottenham Wolves game, bro?
I've already given it 1-1.
Oh, yeah, you did. Sorry. Yeah. So, Conroy, you the only one who hasn't done
I think 1-0 Spurs. Eventually, if Georgie can take about your half a dozen lifelines you've been given and who wants to be a millionaire to get a top four, because it's just getting to the point just win one of them, mate. Just win one of them. I don't care
please.
if you're 4-5-1 and score at long ball. Just win one of these games. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind Tottenham, and I don't like Arsenal, and I don't like Man United. So every time Tottenham mess up, they're really getting on my nerves. Like really getting on my nerves. I'm like, man, you drop points, bro. What are you doing? Like,
I'd rather they
capitalize on it, man.
Arsenal, to be fair, I agree with you.
Do you know what I mean? And Arsenal, if you look at the table, because I was looking at it yesterday, I think Arsenal actually, if they win all their games, might go into fourth. Like if all the teams win their games, because they got a better goal difference than you now, George. So I think because you're on the same points, right, but they've got a better goal difference. So if they win all of their games,
we've got more games in hand still. So I think we still end up higher than them. I think we still end up higher than everyone.
Oh, yeah, sorry, because they played today, don't they? Yeah, sorry, because I was looking at the table yesterday. You've played the same amount now, but then they played today. So, but at the moment, you've got the same games played, bro. I'm sure at the moment, you've actually played the same amount of games and you're on the same point.
I thought we were maybe 2 behind them. Maybe I could be wrong.
Just quickly check for me.
We're on the same games played now, and we're on the same points.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So they've got a better goal difference. So I think if they win all their games, they go fourth, I think.
Oh, yeah,
all I know is everybody needs to just cut this out now because I'm sorry. Everybody has to be so embarrassed to themselves at Tottenham, United, and even West Ham a little bit. If Arsenal, after all of this crap, get fourth, nah, come on. This can't happen. We can't have it. I'm sorry. The universe can't have Arteta going from 8th to 4th and Man United and Tottenham with Conte and Cristiano Ronaldo and Pogba and Harry Kane and all that. Nah, come on.
I'd still take that over United getting 4th, though. I'd still take Arsenal over United. Like,
to be honest, I can see Man United getting fairly decent again, get good results again. I feel like they've been in a bad rut for a while now, so I don't think they can be totally ruled out.
Yeah,
No,
look,
they definitely can't. Somehow, though,
Tottenham,
'cause it's not
Tottenham,
bouncing
just do your
20
thing.
points,
That's
it's
all
still
I'm
gonna be
saying.
good.
Just do your thing, Tottenham. Just get that fourth because
Okay,
Arsenal and
KG,
Man
do us a
United
favour in a
not
couple of weeks
getting
when we play, and just let's have 3 points.
it.
Up the Wolves.
But there you go. There you have it, people. You've had us for nearly an hour and 10. You know what I mean? It's been an enjoyable show. We've got all of the predictions in now. We won't talk about the United game and the City game, obviously, because we haven't got anyone to rep them. But hopefully Aaron will be back next week, I'm sure. So guys, look forward to that one as well. So people, make sure you go and hit everybody's link in the description and go and subscribe as well, guys. You know what I mean? Big up the guys. Conroy's will be in there as well. Make sure you go and show him some love. He reps Liverpool as well, boys. Yeah, the Kopish community should have already been over there. You know what I mean? Like, Conroy's one of the regulars on our Friday show. Make sure you go and supporting people and hit that like button and share this and subscribe if you're new as well. Hitting that like button is the only way to help the channel grow, become part of the algorithm, get it out there. So make sure you do that for us, people. And until next week. Oh, and by the way, guys, we'll be back tonight for the watch along. We will. So for all our Liverpool viewers, make sure you tune in tonight for the Leicester game. It's a big one. So we'll be back for the watch along. But in terms of the Prem Panel Show, we'll be back next week, boys. So until then, peace.